Today on the DYI podcast, we have the pleasure of talking to the infamous DW Hawkins. I've known him for a little while now. He's been an author for several years. He's got an awesome story. He's always got stories. He's the author of 7 different novels in the series 7 Sign series. I'd like to introduce my good friend, Mr. Hawkins. How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Oh, me too, man. Joining you from a front porch in Georgia, beer in hand, you know.
I'm a beer in hand in my little secluded deprivation chamber in Janesville, Wisconsin.
It looks like you got a bunch of rich mahogany in there.
You know,
I was looking at it earlier.
It's very distinguished, very distinguished. I actually just put up a big 10x8 drape of somebody else's house, and my shit's in the back.
I'd probably do the same thing though.
I don't think anybody's really interested in seeing my treadmill.
Well, you never know. You could do those. You could do like exercise videos in the morning or something.
Yeah.
Have you seen people doing that?
I have. You know, I've never really thought about that. There's a great appeal for a fat, balding old guy doing yoga on a mat, but
you never know.
You know,
there might be like people in Russia who are really into that. You know, like
some hot Russian chick's gonna be good. Oh, look, I have American.
Yes. I want you to sweat on me, American.
Whatever the hell that accent was.
It was Russo Jamaican, I think.
Yeah. It was Pig Wisconsinite.
Oh man.
So what have you been up to? You're in Georgia.
Yeah, well, I've been up here going through some of my dad's old things. He died at the beginning of September.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, it is, you know, what it is. But me and my son came out here. You know, I live in Arizona most of the time.
Yeah.
But we're staying till the holidays because it takes 2 days to drive out here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a big job. But just trying to finish up my my latest book in the Sentient Fire series, and then move on to the next one. I'm trying to finish before the end of the year.
Oh.
And move on to something new. But
what's the something new, dude?
Well, it's I'm really looking forward to this actually because I've been kind of world building it for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's going to be distant planet and hard magic system, and there's also going to be like a material resource involved, like I'm calling it Selenite. I don't know if that's an actual thing or if somebody else's name. I might have to the names are still tentative at this point. But it's going to be roughly inspired by like World War II, and it's going to have a couple of things: a living god, a religious cult, various warring nations and factions and stuff,
sure.
Airships, guns, and like I said, a hard magic system that's going to have. What I'm really excited about is the incorporating what's the right word, like punishments into the magic system. Like
the cost.
Yeah I watched some of those Brandon Sanderson lectures that he has out on YouTube. Really good stuff.
Yeah.
And he talked about how the costs make the magic system more interesting, and that really like struck a chord in me. You know what, that's totally true.
It is.
Have you read Mistborn?
Yes. I was just going to kind of follow up and say that everything's got a cost. It has to. Otherwise, otherwise it's too easy.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And, my series right now it has rules and stuff with the magic system, but it's a little softer. I kind of, I wave the brush a little bit here and there because I was trying to write more of a classic fantasy with maybe a dark twist to it and some of my personality imported into the writing. But basically the 7 Signs is kind of like my way of rewriting maybe the Belgariad. Did you ever read that growing up?
No, I didn't.
No. What was the first series you read?
Oh, I don't know that I can remember back that far. The first series, the first, when I got back into reading fiction, the first series that I read when I got back into actually reading something fun versus technical journals was the Iron Druid series.
Oh yeah, Kevin Hearn.
Yeah, Kevin Hearn. Yeah, gosh, that had to be 2008, 9, 10, probably 2010ish, I would think. Whatever.
Okay.
Before that, it was probably the Hardware Bible by Winnell Ross for versions 1, 2, and 3. That was probably my next series.
Right. The Army Technical Manual 1-520-397.
There's nothing like reading up on basic programming languages, Fortran and Visual Basic and everything else, and Yahoo.
Yeah. I'm like at half staff just thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of stuff really gives me a Woody nowadays too.
My son's over. He's wondering what I'm doing. My son, I'm on a podcast, baby. All right. But
okay, Dad, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing that online school, He's actually doing really good.
Yeah.
But there's a cat next door named Oreo. It's this big old male cat.
Yeah.
And he's super friendly, and they're just like best friends now. So like every break, he runs outside looking for that cat.
Yeah.
And I had to take him to Walmart last night and buy him a little cat toy, so he could go play with him.
It'd be just like a Hawkins always coming out for the pussy.
Exactly. He's got it in his blood. It's a natural inclination he's got.
Yeah.
All right. It's almost like he's hardwired.
That's weird.
But so you got more. You write urban fantasy anyway, so that's more your style.
It's a dark fantasy set in an urban setting. I wouldn't say it's truly urban fantasy because I don't have all the playful stuff, and I actually use curse words, and when people die, I try and get into the descriptions a little bit more. So I tend to go a little bit more dark fantasy, grimdark. I'm kind of leaning towards that. The next book that I'm doing, the number 4 in the series, which I've been horrible at trying to get that damn thing out just because of everything that's been going on. But
it's been crazy.
It gets darker and darker as I write it. And I'm like, yeah, somebody's going, ooh, look, urban fantasy. And then they'll read it and go like, holy shit.
There's no fairies. Where's all the fucking?
Where are the Fae? Oh my God. I thought there'd be a friendly dragon. Nope. They ate him in the 3rd book, but
I was looking for non-binary orgies.
Whatever. That's what I need to do is a reverse harem grimdark. Anyway.
Hey, that would be I think Japanime anime's already bit you to it.
Oh no. Another great idea shot down the shitter.
Yeah, it's like you're talking about 1 degree from tentacle porn, maybe.
Yeah, I never knew about tentacle porn until I met you, and now unfortunately it's seared into my brain. So
it's a wide and wonderful genre. Let me tell you. My buddy told me a funny story. This dude was a crazy door gunner when I was in Afghanistan. He was an ex-Marine who joined the Army, became like a ground mechanic.
Yeah.
Ended up entering like a program for door gunners and came in our unit. So he wasn't like an aircraft mechanic. He was just like a door gunner. This motherfucker was insane. He looked like, any 40-year-old dad you'd see, out on the street.
Yeah.
We used to give him shit because he looked like a Jewish accountant or something. We tell him. But his 2 front teeth were fake because he'd have him knocked out in a bar fight by a pool cue. It was the most cliche fucking thing.
Right.
But I forgot while I was telling the story.
Door gunner.
What was he saying? What was I saying when I started this story? See, it
reminds me of a story of a freaking crazy guy, a door gunner in Afghanistan. He was a Marine joined the army, became a mechanic.
Yeah, I forgot.
That's all right.
But he was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I can't remember why I was bringing that story up though.
What made him crazy?
Oh, dude, a million things. He had this whole theory about how man needed a natural predator, and
Okay.
he stole the idea of man, bear, pig from South Park. You know, he started talking about how he was going to genetically engineer a man, bear, pig, so it would be like as deadly as a bear, you know, almost as smart as a man, but as
Yeah.
delicious as a pig. So, you know, he was like, I don't want it to be too smart, like just smart enough to, like, you know, turn your doorknob and get in your house.
Uh-huh.
He was like, that's what we need. Just a natural predator, man, bear, pig. Pretty
Oh,
insane, man. But yeah, I can't remember why I brought that up now. You know, we're gonna have to go back and figure out what we're talking about then. But have you read? You've read Dresden, right?
yes.
And I started writing an urban fantasy thing a couple of years ago, and I've been slowly kind of looking for a place to put it.
Mm-hmm.
But I polled my audience just recently, and I asked them what they were interested in. I told them to pick either the thing I mentioned just earlier, the hard magic system thing, or the urban fantasy. And it was close, but it was like, you know, 60-40 the for the hard magic system and World War II thing. But I'm a big fan of that genre anyway.
What's that?
I'm a big fan of that genre anyway. I like it. But I'm with you. I like the darker kind of twist of things.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing I really like about Dresden is how he takes sort of fairy tales and things like that and makes them seem more, you know, sinister maybe than the way we viewed them growing up.
No, he does a really good job. He's got like 142 books out, but
yeah, he does. Well, that recent one that came out was like number 16 or something in the series.
Probably. I thought he had a few more out than that, but
oh yeah, well, he's got other series. He's got like the Codex Alera is another one he wrote that I really liked actually.
Yeah,
I think it's 6 books long.
Yeah,
and then he's writing that Aeronaut's Windless thing. I mean, yeah, he's competing with, like, you know, Andy Peliquin and J.T. Williams and Jacob Peppers.
Those guys put out so many books.
They do. I don't see how they have the time.
Well, you know, they just stockpile and then they just start throwing them out. Release, which is great because, you know, they don't really have to advertise all that much. You know, they got the newsletter and then they got a new release every 6 weeks and boom, done.
Yeah, I mean,
and then they stop
especially
for
Jacob.
Shit.
Yeah, me and Jacob grew up together.
Oh, did you?
Around this area actually, and we call and bullshit a lot, and that's one of the things we share our word counts and things like that. And me, I'm writing when I'm drafting, I'm doing about 3,500, 4,000 words a day. You know, and that's a lot more than a lot of people do. But Jacob is doing 7,000, 8,000 word days. You know, every single day, and he'll write, you know, a 150,000 word book in a month, and then release one every 2 months or 3 months. You know, if you can do that, that's great. But I just don't write that fast.
Yeah, I think I could write that fast. I'd just be, you know, I sit here and I listen to these people that do that. Fox does that too, where he just like crams out a sprint where he, you know, can write 10,000 words in 2 hours, and that's his day. And it's like, okay. And you know, and he's just like, and then you go back and edit it. It's like, okay. You know, so how much do you cut out? And, you know, I mean, the word counts are great, but it really depends on what your process is. If you write, you know, 10,000 words and 6,500 of them suck, and you cut them out, then did you waste your time or not? You probably didn't, but, you know.
Yeah. It's you know, one of those, how do you measure success things? And, you know, people do tend to get all, you know, people treat their process like it's, you know, their religion.
Right.
Yeah. They get like, don't tell me how to write. I see these posts all the time on Facebook. You know, I know you see them too.
Yeah, I know.
People are, you know, they get offended by something someone has posted that might be like a a motivational sort of quote, like, oh, just get on the horse and write 2,000 words or something like that. Or, you know, maybe they're celebrating something personal.
You know, I like the rapid release idea, you know, what Pelican and Peppers, what they do. I mean, it's great, but it takes time to build up to that.
It does. And
You know,
the thing that gets me about rapid release is that if you're, you know, you got to be able to write fast to do it, number one. And, you know, be able to produce, and, you know, not just write fast, but produce a good novel on the back end of that, you know, which not everyone can do, especially that quickly. But, you know, outside of those sprints and outside of your releases, you know, you still have to market like everybody else. Like, you know, if you're, you know, and I'm not saying somebody's going to run dry or burn out or something like that. That could just be the pace that those guys work at. But I have a feeling that if you're writing 8,000 words a day, you know, unless you're just some sort of robot, you know, you're eventually going to reach a point where you're just burning the hell out.
Yeah.
You know? So for me, I do it slow and steady, you know, or at least steady.
Yeah.
I find that's the key for me anyway.
I unfortunately right now do it when I have to. So all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I have this due, or I meet this deadline, and it's, you know, it is 8 o'clock at night, the night before my deadline's due, and you know, throw something out.
What's up, buddy? Hey, give me a minute, okay? Give me a little while. Yeah. But sorry about that.
No, that's cool.
Single dad life, man.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, for me, the way my process works, I have to do a lot of editing. I do a lot of revisions, and like my last book, when I finished the draft of the manuscript, it was 216, 247, I believe, was the word count.
Yeah.
And I'm probably about, you know, I'm reaching the 3/4 mark to having all the changes in from the edits and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I'm cutting out, and, you know, the way I'm, you know, I think of it like boiling the manuscript. That's what I think of it. Like, you know, like when you make chicken broth and all the crap like boils to the surface. It's kind of like that. And I'm already at like 189 or something like that.
Oh, geez.
I've boiled like a novella's worth of words out of it. And it's all just useless phrases and things that I didn't really need to impart to the audience. And, you know, a lot. And sometimes I'll even enter a scene at the wrong point. You know, like I get really focused on, you know, what does the audience need to know? You know, what is the narrowest focus I can have for this scene? You know, I want to impart the least amount of information that tells, you know, or implies the most, you know, as far as the story goes.
Right.
Know? An economy of words, I guess you could say. I get obsessed with that kind of shit.
I had the problem where I wrote a book. Actually, I wrote two right at the beginning of the pandemic, you know, the quarantine, and had them finished. And it's like, okay, rough draft's done. Now all I have to do is just tweak them or whatever. And I went back and read them. It's like, holy crap. Okay. All right. Let's look at book 4. And then I rewrote the outline and rewrote book 4 and started moving chapters around and everything. Then I changed 3 of the chapters, deleted 6 of them. And it's like, okay, I just need to fill in here and do this, do that, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then the problem is that the other book that I was writing was a spinoff of, you know, my book 4. And it's like, oh shit, I've just completely hosed that book up. Right. So I rewrote that book, which is Hunter Keys. And in doing that, I started getting ideas for book 4 that I should have done. It's like, oh, well, why don't I do this? Because it ties in better. And I caused myself so much pain. And it's like, that's what I get for trying to do 2 series. I've got 3 series going right now. I've got another one that was supposed to be steampunk, and it's totally just going grimdark. It is. It is
Well,
just.
I think you could probably have a Grimdark steampunk. You know.
Yeah. I mean, it's got some components in there, but I can't call it steampunk because I took out the Victorian scenes and everything else because it made more sense if it was a little more futuristic, but after a semi-apocalypse where most technology has been shit on, and there's a lack of electricity and a lack of fuels and everything, so you have to find different ways to power the mechanical animals. But that one I love writing on just because it's the brand new thing. And the other two, I'm like, okay, I gotta go back to this, and that's the problem with doing more than I should.
Yeah, I feel you there. So then, it's the what do they call it? The 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
About dividing your time, which I try to stick to that. Like I've done the same things. I started a Twitch channel.
Yeah.
I started a YouTube channel as well, but it's not anything I'm trying to put like I'm not trying to be a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer.
Yeah.
It's just I'm looking for new ways to kind of interact with my audience, and I think the market is really shifting. Like just in the last 10 years, the way you market a book has changed so much.
Well, you and I were talking about releasing audiobooks at one point in time, and instead of doing it through Audible or anything like that, just having your own portal that they pay a monthly fee to.
Yep.
But then you don't have to worry about Amazon taking a cut or somebody screwing you over or what the rights are or anything.
Yep. Just kind of like adopting your own, subscription model.
Yeah.
For instance, I mean, maybe the Patreon is very similar, but with Patreon, it's a third party.
Right.
And that's the wisdom used to be on the internet that everything you did outside of your own website was just digital sharecropping. Like people get so worried about their Facebook following and things like that. Well, Facebook can get in between you and your readers anytime they want. They can decide how much reach you have. I mean, the kind of everybody's super aware of that kind of stuff now, but 5-6 years ago, nobody was really talking about it. Or maybe it was longer than that.
I stopped worrying about trying to get subscribers to my author page and my reader group, just because the way Facebook screws you over as far as a post goes. So somebody actually liked your page, kind of wants to see what's going on with you and see updates and everything, and then they only serve it to 10% of the people that subscribe to it or like it or whatever. It's like, I don't think so. At least with like YouTube or something like that. And YouTube, you can actually go into a paid channel now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can actually have subscriptions, which is kind of interesting. But at least with YouTube, if somebody subscribes, they give you a notification when whoever you're following publishes something, unless you don't hit the notification bell on it. But, so you actually make the active choice if you want to be notified about them or not. But Facebook, they just kind of nonchalantly come in and say, they've already got 10 follows and you're number 11. So I'm sorry. We won't show this to them.
Yeah. They do everything based on some optimized algorithm,
Right.
How can we tweak the dials in, a certain way to where we can make money off of this interaction?
Well, you know why they do that, don't you? So they can serve more ads.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Everything, I was trying to tell someone this before because I run a lot of Facebook ads. I give away, the first novella in my series. I give it away in exchange for people get on my email list.
Right.
And so I run a lot of Facebook ads. Just and I've got it down to a pretty good science. But their ad platform is so sophisticated that you could serve ads to a single person if you narrowed it down enough.
Yep.
And when you're on the back end like that and you see the way everything is organized and how, I set up an ad today where I targeted people who like Amazon Kindle and World of Warcraft and Joe Abercrombie or Robin Hobb or George R.R. Martin and Dungeons and Dragons, right? So that was like 4 different exclusion fields, right? I was able to, target like 5,000 people out of Facebook's, millions of users database. and this is just in the US. Like, it's amazing.
It is.
But it's also kind of scary,
Well, they track everything. I mean, that's how, you and I may talk about, let's say a bar of soap on this particular podcast. And when I go back into Facebook, I'll have 16 ads on soap.
Yeah. Just because you said it.
And I said it someplace and, they're recording everything. Bastards. On the other hand, it makes it good for us when we're advertising that, we can dissect it down. So.
Yeah, I think it's, it's a toss up. Like, there are good sides to it and bad sides to it. I don't want Facebook knowing, let me think of something like, for instance, when I'm looking for a date, right? Or when I'm moving to a new place, or, these major life events, I wouldn't want them knowing that and serving me ads, just because they're listening in or something.
But they do.
But they do, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if it's something that I've chosen to interact with, like if I've liked Amazon Kindle, or if I've liked, like Jeff Bacon's page, or if I've liked, whatever, then I wouldn't mind being served, ads about things that are sort of in the cloud that I'm interested in. Like that's a good side of it, as long as they're not. That's the thing. We just got to put controls on them so they don't use this kind of shit for, blocking political ads, for instance,
right,
which they're already in trouble for.
Everybody's in trouble for that shit.
Oh yeah, that big shit storm over Twitter. Blocking the Biden story. Like, oh my god, man.
I know.
We're in the dystopia right now. We're in it.
Yeah, we kind of are.
It's scary, man. It's like, I don't necessarily agree with one side or the other, but I disagree heavily with Twitter, just being able to suppress whatever information they want.
There's a certain amount of freedom of speech that we're accustomed to. And realistically, if you want to say something stupid, you should be able to,
Absolutely.
Just like if we're on this podcast and we're talking, something political, that whoever's reviewing the YouTube video or whatever would think would be objectionable, they won't look at it as freedom of speech. They'll look at it as you're going to offend somebody, and they'll pull that channel down. Then you have to beg them to bring it back up, delete the video, whatever it is,
Yeah, I hate that offense taking shit.
I do.
And that's the thing I've noticed lately. That's kind of infected a lot of different communities. It's been part of the writing community for a while, I'd say.
But yeah.
To me, like a writer is somebody who asks difficult questions in their writing, right? Like this villains anthology that we're doing. You take someone who is, by their actions, or maybe by their ideology, distasteful. Right. By what they do, but by our standards, but you try to make them sympathetic, like maybe it's the Jamie Lannister thing. Like, when you first meet Jamie Lannister, he's the shittiest, meme of everything shitty that everybody hates. He's fucking blonde and good looking, and he's good at everything, and he bangs all the chicks, and he's banging his sister. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like everything that you would hate about it. But then as you get deeper into a story and you start seeing the reasons that he's done various things, it's like, okay, it goes from, black to a more gray color. And I feel like that's almost like I don't want to say a duty or anything like that, but that's part of the spice of a story is, asking those tough questions and getting into those, areas that are a little uncomfortable.
The problem is that if you're going to be offended when something's brought up, how do you bring it up in a story in order to attack it or in order to change it or whatever? I mean, fiction in general has always taken on social issues from the time when they, started writing on rocks,
Oh yeah. I mean, even something down to like the graffiti on the walls of Rome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's all, that's almost, I would say even a story like the stories that we tell, you know, even if we don't mean to, we infuse them with meaning and stuff. You know, we,
Right.
you know, just the point of view of your main character with like a, you know, with the main character of the seven, one of the main characters of the Seven Signs is like a, she's a daughter of privilege. You know what I mean? Who has her family slaughtered and everything, and she sets out on this revenge quest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And part of, you know, getting to, like, I'm reaching the end of her story arc now, and you know, part of that is her questioning her own actions leading up to
Sure.
where she's reaching her ultimate conflict, you know, and whether or not revenge is a worthy goal in the first place, right?
Right.
But I like to take it, you know, to darker places than that too, and
Well,
like, you know, maybe it also feels good.
you know, whether you call it the hero's journey or just the plot line of a story, when you're writing this type of stuff, the stuff that you and I write or whatever, there's got to be that journey is laden with disgusting things that happen that you just have to deal with, or you know,
Absolutely.
poor decisions or whatever. And especially when you're starting to look at social issues, you want to kind of bring that, you know, something that's happening currently and reflect it in your writing, depending on, you know, what your genre is and everything else, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
If everybody's going to be offended and pissed off about it, they'll never actually get the gist of, you know, well, I think this is wrong and this is how I'm going to deal with it in this series, or you know, whatever. You know, if you can't get past the fact that you actually mentioned it, well then screw you. You know, don't read the damn book or whatever. But you know, if you are going to read it, don't bitch about it. Just read the entire thing, and then at the end of the series, if you don't like what happened, you know, maybe that was the point.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
have you heard that? Have you heard that? Speaking of, have you heard that? God, I keep saying that. Dave Chappelle joke about abortion, where he
No.
said he goes on this long thing and he talks about abortion. And he said, you know, I believe in a woman's right to choose and all this, you know. And then he says, but I also believe in a man's right to walk away. And he said, you know, you know, the point he comes to is, you know, if you can kill it, but I can't abandon it, maybe we're both wrong. That's the point he comes to. It's, you know, and it, you know, he starts you. That's one thing I love about Chappelle. I think Chappelle is one of the greatest writers out there right now. You know?
He's brilliant. He
Yeah,
is.
absolutely.
He's almost too smart.
Yeah, you know, he will lead you from one place to another and like back around in a circle to, you know, to the beginning to make you realize how ridiculous you were when you started. You know,
Exactly. And
like,
it's almost like a punch in the face when you finally realize where he's going with it, and you're like, oh shit. And you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, that's me.
that's me. Yeah, he's talking about me.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's like I remember one time. You remember when South Park uh, had the Harley riders on there, and they would go through town and just be pissing everybody off. Yeah. At the time, I rode a Harley. I saw that episode and I was just laughing my ass off. I was like, that's totally me. Every red light I come to, I'm just like for no reason, you know, for no reason.
It's amazing how lifelike South Park is. How many references we have to it in general.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Have you seen the one with it was a couple of seasons ago after PC Principal comes to South Park and they discover that the little girl is actually an ad and like how the ads have like you know, infiltrated everything. And they have this scene where like the only people who realize it are the newscasters, and they have this, you know, this powwow with Butters, and at the powwow, it's, you know, like they're all presenting their findings in the newscaster voice, and they're like, "Over to you, Tom," and the next guy picks up. Yeah, it was so fucking funny. I was probably like crying. I was laughing so hard at that scene.
We should do that on the podcast. Over to you, DW. What do you think?
Well, I think that monkey dicks are blah blah blah. I don't know why I thought about monkey dicks just there. I know why. Actually, I was watching Joe Rogan and they were talking about monkey balls. Have you heard the monkey balls conversation?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Apparently, the size of any species' testicles is directly proportional to the ratio of women in the population, in that species population that cheat.
Okay.
So, like, the bigger the balls, the more promiscuous the females are, I suppose, at least in the primate tree.
I was going to
But,
say, this isn't working out because I have huge balls and I'm married. So what the hell does that say?
But it wouldn't be a statement about, like, your wife. It would be like a statement about all humanity, like the women of all humanity, you know?
Oh, okay. Still, what's that say?
It means that, you know, if our balls start growing, you know, we know that women are messing around. But it would have to be like collective. All of you, we would all have to notice this phenomenon. Like, you know, there would be like subreddits, you know, popping up.
Yeah.
My balls are growing. Help me.
I
Well,
just
mine too,
want
bro.
to pause for a moment so I can take a measurement, and then I will get back to you. I just want to make sure I start tracking this.
Well, here, that's another question though. What's the proper way to measure your balls? Do you take a circumference, or do you do like, do you put it on a scale and you measure by weight, or is it like do you like drop them in a bowl of water and like do a buoyancy check?
No, I think what you do is you get like those little super balls, a golf ball, a tennis ball, a baseball, softball, and you just do a comparison. Oh, look, today I'm at a baseball.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a quick reference, guy.
It's a quick reference. Oh shit, it's like an egg today. What the hell happened? Anyway.
Yeah. Be like, if they turn this color, call a doctor immediately.
You know, it's funny. I was talking to somebody and they're telling me all about IBS. And
wait, how did this conversation happen?
Oh, just wait. It relates right back to what we're talking about. And I told them there's creams for that. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Creams for it? Really? I said, yeah, itchy ball syndrome.
There you go.
Yeah. You have all sorts of creams for that. Just fix it.
Yeah, I had like 100 gross things just pop in my head.
Yeah. Well, you know, this whole podcast is supposed to be about writing and shit. So we're writing about balls.
Yeah, I was gonna say, here we are on balls already.
Yeah, there we go. We're
taking a tour from we were at, and you know, we were in an even worse place to start too. We were on monkey balls before
we were
there.
Yeah, we should actually do a documentary on monkey balls.
We should.
Yeah,
I think we should hire some young impressionable college students to measure the circumference, or actually just to determine what the proper test.
Oh, wait a minute. Back the circumference of what?
Balls.
The monkeys?
Yeah, monkey balls.
Well, I think they have to do a comparison, don't they?
I mean, that, you know, interns, you always got to put them to the worst tasks, right?
Okay.
Like, always. So I think measuring monkey ball circumference is appropriate.
Some women's right activist is going to come into this podcast and start yelling at us. So
I'd be more worried about the animal rights people.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, maybe they'll team up and we'll just be fucked.
Maybe. You can't measure the circumference of monkey balls. That's sexist against monkeys and women.
Not only that, but fondling them can actually interfere with their environment. Oh, okay.
I think our study would get shut down immediately. People just don't care about science these days.
Yeah, well, you know, it's the imagination takes us places. Again, somebody's going to be listening to this going, are they really talking about monkey balls? Oh, hell yeah, we are.
Yes, we are. It's par for the course.
There you go.
When it'll be even worse whenever Rachel gets here. Yeah, I'm gonna tell him too, I'm sure.
Oh crap.
At least we know that, you know, that two females on this planet, you know, enjoy our antics. Rachel Renner and Angel Hayes.
That's right.
At least they like us.
At least they like us. They don't shut us off right away. But
yeah,
there are times when they just shake their heads. Rachel's actually going to be on the podcast here. We're recording on Friday, so she'll be coming up.
Good people. A little crazy. You know, I'll send a message here on your podcast about Rachel Renner. She's fucking crazy, everybody. All right. Trust anything that she says.
I don't think she's any worse than the rest of us.
I think Rachel Renner wants killed a polar bear and then burned a tire next to its body, and it's like, fuck the icebergs. You know, I think she did it in Alaska too.
Oh boy.
Yeah, next to an oil spill.
I'll have to ask her about that.
Ask her how I got evidence of this.
Exactly. I will. Just let me write myself a note real quick. Rachel Renner, iceberg, oil spill, polar bear, burnt tire.
Burnt tires.
Got it. I'm sure she'll love that question.
Yeah, I'm gonna think of. I will think of one more thing to accuse her of before I get off of you.
Oh, good. You know, if you do this, we'll have to bring the both of you on and have you guys just duke it out. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, we'll talk about global warming.
Awesome.
And how she's contributed to it. Don't you care about the polar bears, Rachel?
What about the baby seals?
What about the baby seals? Aren't you on video clubbing them with bats? What's that?
We have pictures.
Yeah, you just say that. No, I'm clubbing seals with baby seals with baseball bats or something like that.
Yeah, you know.
It was alliterative. I can't remember it though. But
just as a public note, Rachel Renner, please don't sue me. Anyway, you can have the podcast. Sorry. She's got a new book coming out on the 27th. Do you see that?
I saw that. Yeah, actually, the premise sounded really cool. It's like a young girl, and she has like epileptic seizures, and then every time she has one, like bad things happen around her and stuff. Yeah. And then it's later on, and she's got to like track down her mother who abandoned her. That actually sounds really interesting.
There's a lot of times that you read something and you go, oh shit, that's brilliant. Oh my God. Why didn't
I think of that?
Oh, for crying out loud. What is wrong with my imagination? I didn't come up with that.
Right. That's the thing. It's identifying like a small niche or something that sounds interesting to you, like I think a lot of it comes from the cross section of whatever you're doing at the time, right?
Yeah.
Like for instance, when I was writing that urban fantasy thing, the whole premise for the idea was there's a guy who's in a motorcycle club, and the motorcycle club's whole purpose is to like hunt demons and shit, right? Like imagine Supernatural meets Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
And then the club gets betrayed, he gets blown up, and like when he's like 10 seconds from dying, I'm talking like his guts just played out, he's paralyzed, like he's gonna die.
Yeah.
And he's offered like a Faustian bargain by Nemesis, the goddess, like the Roman goddess Nemesis. And so he's imbued with like this spirit of revenge kind of, and he's like compelled to act out the revenge of people who, I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to work it out, but I figured it would be like an antenna,
Yeah.
Like if he's near somebody, maybe he's like beset with visions or something.
Sure.
And if he doesn't like sort of chase down what actually happened and decide whether to kill the object of their revenge or to, grant mercy or whatever, because that was in Nemesis' nature, then, it's sort of like the Fey idea. If you go against your nature, it's painful,
Right.
For him, if he didn't do it, then he would, just be reverted back to, 10 seconds from death. But the reason that I, thought about all that was because I was watching a ton of true crime documentaries,
Yeah.
You ever get into you ever go down those rabbit holes?
Yes, I do. It's been a while, the last one that I got really hooked on was Joe Kenda.
Oh, dude, I watched every episode of Joe Kenda.
I know.
So many that my son would come in and see me watching on the tablet, and he's like, we're watching Joe Kenda again.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're watching Joe Kenda. My name is Joe Kenda.
If you
solved over 400 homicides. Yeah, I will find you. That was so funny. And he looks like, he doesn't look dopey necessarily, but he just looks like not a dude you would imagine to be a homicide detective.
Nope.
He looks like your church's softball coach. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's what he looks like.
Yeah.
But the show is so good.
Oh, I love his interactions with the scenes, so they have the replay, and then all of a sudden, the the suspect or the witness says something and he's like, "Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is very interesting to me. I think I will investigate further." And he says it in such a, just kind of a monotone, "Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Oh, really?
Hmm."
You know, he had some, and he has like these little punchy one-liners every now and then.
Yes, he
Uh,
does.
I can't remember. I wish I could remember one now, because they're like punchy in a dad joke way,
Yeah.
and it's just so it's like nothing that you imagine somebody who sees probably like the horror of like, murder scenes all the time would come
Yeah.
up with.
The neat thing about it is just the way he portrays himself and in his in general demeanor. He's a homicide cop. He's seen all sorts of things, and they go through his files and they, tape these reenactments and everything else. But honestly, by the time I get done watching him, it's like, you know what? That dude, I want to sit down and have like a 6-hour cup of coffee with and just listen to
Right.
what he has to say. Because
Yeah.
that would be,
I would love to ask the guy, like, how when you like, I had a podcast where I talked to Nicholas Ames, and I sat down for like the whole day before I talked to him, and I wrote down 10 questions I thought I might want to ask him. It would be the same thing with Joe Kenda. Like, I can think of one. It's like, what is the technique that, saw the most, what was your most effective technique as a homicide detective, I'd say. That's what I'd want to ask, like questions like that, because just watching the show, that's one of the things. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if you're catching enough truth from the show to really divine anything about it, because how things
Yeah.
are, like, shows present things in a certain manner. Yeah, we're writers, we understand what producers do.
right.
But at the same time, you kind of pick up a picture that, like, when somebody kills somebody, they're rarely like more than a few degrees of separation from them. It's
Right.
usually like an old boyfriend, or current boyfriend is more likely, or someone in their family, or someone who lives with them. You know what I mean? Like, almost every story that he had was, he only had to go so far before he found the person who was responsible.
But from a writer's perspective, he has little gold nuggets in his show that are just, like, well, he stabbed him with a pocket knife and it didn't have a guard. And when you have a bunch of blood and you stab somebody 114 times, your hands get slippery. And that's why
Yeah.
the knife slipped in his hand and he cut himself across the palm. So
Right.
now we're looking
Right.
for a suspect, and it's like, oh shit, slippery hands, cut themselves. Okay, got it.
It's wild to see, like, how often that, a murder suspect is just, well, the thing that always surprises me is how dumb, a lot of people who kill people really are. Like, how they think, like, there was one case where it was like up on a mountain, and they had, burned this poor girl's body in like a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
Or something. And they had just left the wheelbarrow up there at the property, like outside, and they had like gotten in the house and vandalized and stole a bunch of stuff, and you know what I mean.
Yep.
But they left the wheelbarrow, they just left it there. Their fingerprints on it and everything. And it's like, I just want to, CSI is not real, but if you watch CSI, you'll at least, sort of download this fear of crime investigation and,
Yeah.
how easily it is to get caught. I often wonder, like, do these people, if they've never seen like an episode, like, of anything, like,
Right. Well, the amazing thing about CSI is they always have this intricate stream of evidence that they have to follow to actually discern who the murderer is, because the murderer was so brilliant. And most of the time it's just some dumbasses out there like, well, God, I hope I get away with it. And the cops are sitting on their porch by the time they get home.
Yeah. It's like, I dig into a lot of these. Like, you can find channels on YouTube where they'll have interrogation tapes. There's this one guy, I can't remember the name of the channel exactly, but it's something criminal psychology.
Yeah.
And he's a psychologist, and he goes through interrogation tapes, and he talks about, you know, so, you know, things that maybe the rest of us don't necessarily pick up, like the levels in conversation.
Yeah.
Like he talks about how police will often sit a suspect in a corner, and then they'll seat themselves between the suspect and the door because it creates an atmosphere of, you know, oh, you're trapped. You know,
Right.
now you've got to talk. It's like this unconscious psychological pressure that, like, that's the kind of thing that I like to pick up because, I mean, as you know, it's like grist for your writing. Like you can put that into a character, you know.
Yeah.
But things like that. And then like I watched that entire Chris Watts documentary, but I'd been following you know, the Chris Watts story for a long time because I mean I watched all, like, every minute of body cam footage from the cop who had gone to Chris Watts' house initially to investigate
Yeah.
her disappearance, his wife's disappearance, murder, I should say. And there's a part on the body cam where, well, there's two parts. One where he's talking to the neighbor, and like the neighbor comes into Chris's house when they're all kind of looking for his wife and everything. The cop is there, her friend is there. Like it was, you know, it was one of those things where the whole time I'm watching this documentary, I'm thinking, you know, what was this guy thinking when he killed his wife? Like, you know, like these are the thoughts I wonder. Like,
Right.
you know, I forget about, you know, the moral implications of killing someone. Like, you know, you're already past the point when you're deciding to, when you're going to murder, right?
Right.
But what, like, when he reached that point, did he not think, you know, you know, my wife had, apparently she had this huge like social media presence, right? She was really active in her community. People were always talking to her and looking for her, you know, like, and you
one
know,
day she's gone.
right? Just,
Yeah.
oh yeah, she just decided to leave. Like, what were you thinking, dude? You know, like beyond just being able to kill your wife in the first, like, Jesus, man, like, you know, divorce is an option, bro. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus. Like,
It's a hell of a lot cheaper than that defense lawyer that you're going to be paying.
right. Like what, and watching that documentary, it was so sad, like, because it included a lot of her text messages to like her friends and stuff
Yeah.
leading up to the night, and they created sort of this timeline, and the story they were telling was the story of their marriage, right? And
Yeah.
how he was already cheating on her, I guess, with some, you know, hotty
Yeah.
toddy little thing, and you know, she was trying to fix the marriage and everything. And you see, like, every day leading, like 3 days from her death, she's like texting her friend about how like he won't pay any sexual attention to her, basically,
Yeah.
you know. And the kind of thing where, you know, your friend would text you and you'd be like, bro, she's cheating on you,
Right.
or, you know, or no, he's seeing somebody else, or, you know,
Yeah.
that sort of advice. And like, you know, everything that you see up to the point where he kills her, it's like you would never suspect that he was even capable of it. You know, that anything that happened between them was, you know, it wasn't like there was $1 million or anything in the balance. There weren't, like, you know, he wasn't worried about custody. He killed his children, right? Like, all he wanted was to have his life with this new woman, right? Like that, like that's psycho number one, right? But like the way he did it, where he did it in his house, just spur of the moment, you know, and he tried to like carry him off early in the morning so nobody sees, but his neighbor has a camera pointed right at his garage,
Yeah.
you know. But there's a scene where the cop, apparently the cops do this sometimes to suspects to see if they display guilty behavior.
Yeah.
They'll get behind you and they'll click their radio, where it'll be like, and they'll say something on the radio, or they'll, you know, get a call back from dispatch or something, but they want to be standing behind you to have you sort of cornered when it happens, to see how you react. And there's a scene where they're standing, so I think maybe upstairs or something, and Chris Watts is on camera, and the cop's standing back, and he does this thing where he clicks his radio and he makes some sort of bullshit call into the radio,
Right.
you know, and Watts fucking jumps, dude. He jumps and like spins around, and like you get, you know, because they can take stills from the videos, you get the still of his face that's just like, it's just complete terror on his face, like, you know, oh shit, they've called me. You can just see it all over him. Like, I just find that shit so interesting.
you know.
I think we have ourselves a 1099. I need a backup, please.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And this motherfucker jumps out of his skin, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you don't look guilty at all, man. You know? That, like, I find those sort of things, you know, beyond the minutia of, or I won't say minutia, but beyond the question of, it's wrong to kill, of course, but like once you get past that to the killer's mindset, like, what the fuck was he thinking, right? Like,
you know, and I don't think you can answer that. You know, because I mean, how many of these guys? I shouldn't say how many of these guys, but a lot of these people that get a lot of publicity for killing, you know, their wife or their wife and family or whatever. It's almost like they hit some sort of a breaking point, whatever it is, you know, imagined or not, and they just do it. And then they try and figure out how to cover it up afterwards when they're in whatever frame of mind they're in. And they do it. Obviously they do a piss poor job of it because they always get caught.
yeah, right.
You know, whether they get prosecuted or not, it's another, you know, story, but.
Well, I don't know, like there's like a genre. I don't want to say it. I don't think genre is the right word. I should say a category of killer who is like the I can't remember what the technical term for it, but he destroys his entire family basically.
Right.
It's you know, it's always a male, and he's usually a younger guy who meets a younger woman, you know, and it's almost like, you know, this, you know, on this simplistic sort of behavior where, you know, guy meets a younger woman and he wants to get rid of his family so he can go off and have this imagined great life with this younger woman. And like, it happens so often that it's a category of killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the same way that a serial killer is a category. You know, and that, you know, but on the flip side, the same thing is true for mothers who kill their children. You know, that also happens often enough to be its own category. Right. You know, and I just find these, you know, sort of quirks of human psychology really interesting. I like to put that kind of shit in my writing, and, you know, I think a lot of fantasy, it concentrates on, you know, whatever magic system that it's talking about, or, you know, the kingdom is in peril and blah, blah, blah. It's always a rebellion or something, you know, but I like to have characters, you know, who are dealing with some crazy shit. You know, like one of my characters is an abused girl, you know, who was, you know, I don't want to go into detail, but she was abused, you know, very young. Another one, you know, like the girl who's seeking revenge on her family. Another one is a guy who has always been a womanizer, but he's dealing with, you know, being a father. Mm-hmm. And then another one is, you know, a guy who's always been cold, but his lover was killed. And so now he's on this weird revenge quest, you know.
That's why, you know, there's so many jokes out there. If, you know, I don't know how many people actually see them or not, but, you know, the joke of I'm an author, please forgive my search history, or,
right.
You know, my Netflix continue watching list is none of your damn business. You know?
Oh, dude, I don't even want anybody to see mine. Like, wow. Everything from, you know, murder documentaries to those Rashida Jones documentaries about porn stars. Like,
yeah,
well, I'll watch anything with porn stars in it.
Yeah. Can you imagine, you know, somebody, you know, being brought into the police station, being questioned? Well, we have your computer here, and you're just like, shit, I'm an author. Okay.
Yeah. Dude, I'd be worried about being connected to like several murders.
Yeah.
And, you know,
we have a new suspect in Son of Sam. No. It was research.
See, like, can you remember the weirdest thing you've ever had to Google, or weirdest or darkest?
I'm trying to think what I want to say on this show. Yeah, I can. I can remember the weirdest thing.
There you go.
I think the funniest thing was I was looking up stabbings and stab wounds, and you know, penetrations of knives, and, you know, looking at forensic photos, and, you know, stories of people, you know, in multiple knife fights and blah 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 blah. And I think had hovered over the story. I don't remember. I've got a bookmark, I think, still, but where this guy takes one of those big Rambo knives,
Mhm.
and he's all badass and everything, and he plunges it into this guy, just sticks him in it with it. And then what happens is he tries to pull it out and he gets stuck, and he concentrates way more on trying to get the goddamn knife out of the guy's chest or stomach. I'm sorry. Trying to get it out because the skin's just kind of sucking around it, and it's this,
Yeah. And it's barbed too, right? So it's
Yeah.
probably caught. Like,
yeah, it's caught on ribs and all that kind of stuff. And this guy was way more worried about trying to get his knife because it had his prints on it versus the prints that he's laying on the guy trying to pull it out, or the cops that just come around the corner and saw this guy stabbing him. I mean, he was arrested immediately, but it's just one of those, stupid ass whatever. So I was very interested in the fact that, I mean, you watch those movies where they take the 14-inch knife and they're like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I think people like, I read a lot of authors who I think have probably either never been in a fight. Like I know like a lot of authors who write about gunfights have never been in a gunfight.
Yeah.
And then also I read a lot of melee type fights that I could tell like the author's never really been in a fight before. Because there's so many things that in a fight, when you're in like a fist fight, all of the things that you remember, like the things that I remember about every fist fight I've been in has been small details, like I remember the taste of dirt in my mouth from when I was a kid, right? Like always remember the taste of dirt. Like once when I was 15, somebody whacked me with a chain, like a wallet chain across my back, and it left like a fucking purple well all the way across my back that was there for a week. I mean, like you don't ever read about anything like that.
Right.
It's always, such and such fucking takes out 20 goblins with his sword and blah, blah, blah. Like,
But, the other side of that is how much of that, of the reality do you really want to put into fiction, and how much of the expectation do you want to put in there?
I think a sentence is usually enough.
Well, I mean, the expectation that somebody is going to get into a fist fight and this is what this scene looks like, and this is what it should look like, versus this is the reality of it.
Right.
Punching somebody in the forehead and you break your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, I think it's like, or hitting somebody. Well, shit, I don't know. Or winning a fight and then being so tired after that you can barely stand.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, or, things like that.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, I've got somebody in particular, they watch a lot of MMA and they think, okay, this is what a fight should look like. And it's like, you've got two trained professionals in a ring that has some rules.
Right. Yeah. It's like you're talking about people who are on the top of the athletic game and the top of the fighting game as well.
Right. And they can take a punch. I've seen some huge football players that, they get punched in the jaw and they're just like, boom.
Oh yeah. Oh, a lot of people. That's the thing. Like, I think 99% of people, 99% of people in America, I should say, we get up and we go about our normal lives. Like, how often do we really experience violence? I mean, it's very, very rarely that, we see a lot more violence than we really experience in our normal lives. Like, so much that when you get in an argument with somebody on the street, you're thinking about that shit all day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how, sort of disconnected from violence that we are, and so when something big happens, we're just, it leaves you in almost like a shock state.
I grew up in a rural setting.
Mm-hmm.
And there weren't there was a county sheriff that had basically him and his deputy and a few other deputies or whatever, and they had a lot of area to cover.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't like there's you called 911 and it may be 30-40 minutes before somebody actually shows up because they're on the other side of the county,
right.
Whatever. But the one thing that I find, especially where I live now versus where I grew up, is that people talk an awful lot of shit, and they rely on the fact that I can sue you, and that there's probably a cop within 3 minutes that's going to take my statement and arrest you for punching me for saying something that realistically you should be punched for. And those are the same people that when you come up to them and you're toe to toe with them, they're like getting all shaky voiced and everything else, like, oh my God, this is an altercation. I don't know how it got this way. Well, it got this way because you're being an asswipe.
Right.
And sorry. But on the other hand, they're so shaky and then they think they just about got into a fight.
And really they just got into a testy argument.
A testy argument, right? But it feels like a physical altercation to them. They're tired, their nerves and everything else, because they haven't actually put themselves under any kind of stress at all.
Right, like they trigger their fight or flight on such a small matter.
Right.
I think there's definitely a difference between kids who grow up in the country as opposed to kids who grow up in the city. But then I've known a lot of kids who grew up in the city who grew up in rough neighborhoods, and I think there's just a level of comfort with violence that I think we have to be comfortable with a little bit of it. Like it's if you think about all the wars and all the all the big questions in history, they've all been decided with war. You know what I mean? And all the most important things that any family has fought for, from legal proceedings to such and such got their daughter pregnant or whatever.
Right. A
lot of times it's decided either with violence or with the threat of state violence. So I don't know, man. I think we have sort of detached from that, and so in my writing I like to bring it back a little bit. I like to put it in because I think the ancient world was a brutal place. You know what I mean? If you read about there are writings from when there was this ancient tribe, the Cimbri and the Teutones, who lived sort of in Germania in the time of the Roman Republic.
Sure.
And they invaded from the north, and it was actually one of the wars that made Marius famous. If you're a history buff, Marius and Sulla. Like Sulla was sort of like the classic optimist, like sort of Republican figure maybe, and Marius would have been like the left wing figure. He was more like he was a populare.
Yeah.
And anyway, but the sort of fears that they had were that these Cimbri and the Teutones, who were these hordes of people, I think the numbers that the Roman historians put down were 500,000, and people think that was inflated. But I think it might have been, even 150,000 people is, a lot of fucking people.
That's a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if their fighting force was only 50,000 strong, 50,000 is a lot of fucking people. Just imagine if you lived with the fear every day of, 50,000 warriors coming over the hill to just burn your city down and, rape everybody, and fucking slaughter everybody. You know what I mean? That's the fear that we don't live with it today. So I think in the ancient world, in my writing, I like to sort of crank up the violence just a little bit, because I feel like it would have been, in reality, because what stops your neighbor from coming over your hill and taking everything you have, right? It's the power of the state, right? If I do that, I'm going to go to jail.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it's my gun cabinet, but whatever.
Well, I mean, for you, but what if you're, your average American citizen? It's the social contract,
Yeah.
And the ancient world, I feel like, is a time when the social contract was a little bit more liquid. If you lived out of sight, if you were, say, if you were on the borders of the Roman Empire, if you read some of the stuff that happened in, everything with regards to Roman history in the UK that happened from the time of Caesar's invasion onward, and just the interaction the Romans had with the local kingdoms, and then also with the empire back home. It's all, it's crazy when you get down to it. Everything is just factions, and people fighting for their own interests.
Well, a series that both you and I love, you actually got me into it. was the Last Kingdom. And it's really funny where they have the different factions, and they have the Danes coming in and invading, and how they all kind of become, it's becoming more of one nation or whatever. But I always get kind of a kick out of, well, this city has Roman walls, and they really don't need any maintenance or anything like that. Or they talk about Rome's influence on the UK and what they left behind.
Oh yeah.
But
Well, I love Roman history because there were so many little tidbits about ancient Rome. Like one of them that I found during my research, like you talk about, like your Google history, was that Rome, when it built its structures, would line its steel supports with lead, and that would basically resist corrosion, right? But after the Roman period, when the empire collapsed, a lot of the newer kingdoms, didn't know that lead prevented corrosion, so they would build their stone structures without these steel supports and the lead protecting them, and they would fall down. But the Colosseum stands thousands of years later. Like,
right.
It's little things like that, or the history of the Roman language. Like, the reason that all the Romanic languages developed was just that, it was sort of like a difference in dialect, the way we have in the United States now, where you can always tell somebody from the Southeast, from somebody from the Midwest, just from the inflection, the accent and everything. It was the same deal in Europe. And the way the Romanic, languages developed was that the empire, collapsed, and the legions just stopped coming. And so all these people who spoke vulgar Latin, the differences in their dialects just crystallized over time and became separate languages. I just, that shit is so interesting to me.
It is. And just for a mental note, in the Midwest, we don't actually have a dialect or anything like that. We are the ones that created it, and all the rest of you kind of bastardized it.
You're the real motherfuckers, huh?
Yeah, we're the real motherfuckers. I have a brother-in-law who's from New Jersey.
Oh man.
And he's got that New Jersey accent, whatever. Yeah. And people around here are like, I really love your accent. He goes, I don't have an accent. You do.
Yeah. That's funny.
Come back home with me. You'll be the odd person out. I talk normal. You're the one that can't really enunciate anything, or you talk so doggone slow.
Yeah. It's like people say that Midwesterners have long, flat vowels. Like there's exactly. Have you ever heard of the Great Vowel Shift?
No, I haven't.
It's a phenomenon particularly at the time I was studying English language, but this phenomenon where the vowels like move sort of in the mouth in the way that they're pronounced, right?
Yeah.
Like in ancient, in like say in Middle English, you would pronounce, Winchester different. Like it would be like, Winchester or something like that.
Right.
And then as time goes on, you get sort of lazier about the way you pronounce something, so it becomes Winchester, right? Or like here in Georgia, people pronounce Worcestershire sauce. They pronounce it Worcestershire. It's like it's just Worcestershire sauce, right? And it's just a lazier way to pronounce things. You just get tired of enunciating, and and that's the way that vowel shifts happen over time, is because you just want to get easier about the way you say things, right? And
yeah, I actually say Worcestershire sauce, so I don't Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah, I think in the UK they say Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. Okay.
Or something like that. Because that's the way it's, at least maybe, I don't know, but they say Leicester too, and it's like, spelled Leicester or something.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of fans in the UK. Love you guys, by the way.
No, they're interesting to talk to. Hey, we've been going here for a little bit. I think we're about ready to wrap this thing up. A nice conversation with Mr. DW Hawkins. If you're interested in his books, which you absolutely should be, and you're an idiot if you don't read them, go to www.dwhawkins.com. You can get the 7 Signs series, which is excellent. And also pick up, the newest things that he'll be creating. He's got some short stories, novellas, and everything else. Sign up for his mailing list. It's awesome. You get all sorts of free stuff, and also you get some interactions with the infamous DW Hawkins. Anything else you want to add, sir?
I am 90% pantsless.
Well, that's
times.
awesome. 90%
times.
pantless all the time.
All the time.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. I'm glad you wore a shirt today.
Hey, it's we all got to dress up for something, for you, I was like, I got to put on my good clothes today.
Yeah, well, the Punisher shirt is pretty classy.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, dude, if you haven't checked it out, look up One Wheels. Look it up.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen them?
Yeah, I did. Last time you told me about them. Oh shit.
Oh, dude, yeah, you got to get on one. It's so much fun.
Well, maybe someday when I actually have some time.
Yeah, I feel you. Doing
all
these podcasts, man.
Yeah, maybe I should do a few less, but for right now, we're just going to kick some ass. Just to close this out, I'd like to thank you all for listening to the DIY Writer podcast. If you wouldn't mind, please subscribe, or if you're listening on the podcast like iTunes or Spotify or anything, follow, subscribe, download. Your patronage actually and your subscriptions actually help fund this program, and to where you can discover new and talented authors all over the place. Anyway, I just want to wish you all a very good day, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.